computer. All right, we are gonna get started here. I want to be respectful of the time we have at the Missouri Foundation of Health for Health. If everyone could, I don't know how this works via Zoom, so if everyone can take their seats and we can begin. So, welcome. This is our first in-person meeting since I think December 2020. Pretty exciting. Some ground rules. These are copy and pasted from previous meetings, but I think for this meeting, if we can all do our best to hold our questions until we finished discussing something. I want to reduce the amount of feedback that people hear on Zoom. It's a little echoey in here, and I want to make sure people on Zoom can hear us. Yeah, I would ask if you could just speak a little louder because it's kind of. Yeah, okay, I can do that. If you have questions, if you're on Zoom, enter your questions into the chat or raise your hand to speak. We'll do our best to monitor the questions that are popping in. Please no interruptions. We want to be respectful of everyone's time and what they have to say. And if you have something to say, please try to keep it under 2 minutes or so we can end on time, and then behave with some common courtesy. We're all guests here at Missouri Foundation for Health, and we're all neighbors, so we should do our best to treat each other as such. The agenda. I have us starting this meeting with some ward updates from our alderperson, Alderwoman Tina Peel. I believe she has to get out here. She has some meetings she has to attend after this one, so we'll let her speak first. We'll go through the treasurer's report. We'll have some community updates, events, and such, and then the main topic for tonight is the crime and safety discussion, trying to make our neighborhood a more welcoming place. We've seen some stories over the past couple of months of shootings, but want to try to do our best to increase safety and welcoming, make this a welcoming neighborhood for everybody. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Alderwoman Peel. Yeah, sit next to me. We can do it this way. We can do it this way.
Okay. This will be weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
I'm just like looking to see. Okay. All right. Hey, everyone. Good evening. Put that one away. Could you put the so I can see all the people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Good evening, everyone. I am going to be giving a few updates regarding the ward and mostly the neighborhood. And I'm so glad to be back in person. This is just wonderful to be back in person. So, and I see all the lovely faces online. So hello, everybody. The first update I'll be providing is regarding Lux Living. So Lux Living is going to be presenting to the Preservation Board on June 27th. Now, we've had already 2 or 3 community meetings regarding that development on Kings Highway. And we're going to have another community engagement meeting sometime or by June 21st, because they have implemented some of the suggestions regarding what the community and the neighborhood wanted. And that specifically, the biggest point was the egress and entrance into that particular development. Most people did not want traffic to go through Oakland and Arco and Choteau, and they wanted the traffic to come off of Kings Highway. Lux Living did not have to change their plans because they own the property and they had not asked for any variances during the meetings we had with their plans where they wanted to go through the neighborhood. So they have listened to the neighborhood and they're going to be having their complex enter off of Kings Highway. However, they will need to have a variance, or actually 2 variances. One specifically in regard to having the Kings Highway entrance and exit. There are two others that they have asked for, and it is something in terms of negotiation, trade-off. And what they would like a variance on is the setback. The city requires a 25-foot setback, and they are requesting a smaller setback. When we have the meeting for the community, we'll get more details about what that setback is, but it's going to be less than 25 feet that they want. That setback will be from the 3rd floor and above. And so that is one of the things that they have requested in terms of having a second variance. Again, the community could push back on that. At the same time, they could also say that they do not want to have, the entrance from Kings Highway. So there's some negotiation on that. So that will be further discussion at that community engagement meeting. And so I just wanted to bring that up. Let's see. I believe that, they are better quality developers here in the city and landlords. And however, as I mentioned, they own the site and, they did not initially ask for variances. So as long as they follow the city codes and the city plans, they are able to build.
Quick question. What were the two variances exactly? The setback from the 3rd floor and then?
The 3rd floor through the 7th, they wanted to have, it should be 25 feet and the setback, and they want less. I think it's about 10 feet they would like, but I haven't seen the plans and everything and those details, but we have talked about it and they want less. So it's gonna be like a step. So, and so they want about 10 feet.
Was there another variance?
Yes, a variance in terms of how we're going to enter the property from Kings Highway. Okay. So they're going to need a variance for something with maneuvering the trucks. We'll get the details, but there was another variance that was needed off of Kings Highway. So
they suggested
how parking will be designed. Didn't we, if that's a question that was, I don't know if that was answered or not at last meeting, but
I think
can you email me? Like if anybody has questions before the meeting? Somebody asked about how is parking going to be designed for that particular development. They mentioned a little bit about trucks going in and out, but I don't know what did you have more specific? You can email me, Alan, if you want.
Sure. No, I think they had a certain number. We were worried about whether visitor parking, how that would be accessible. And so I mean,
say it again. Yes, yes. So you could ask, similar questions, same questions. Yes. So. Okay. So the last thing the advice I can give regarding the property and community comments is that, as I said, they own this property straight out, no variances, except now they want one extra one plus the one so that they accommodate the neighborhood. The community, the leverage point we have is, and the recourse we have is voicing your opinion at the Preservation Commission meeting on June 27th at 4 o'clock. It's going to be an online meeting. You have to register in advance to be a speaker. You could also write in to the Cultural Resources Office, but it's better to be online and be at that meeting. Again, June 27th at 4 p.m. Go to the city website and just type in Preservation Board, and then there will be a link on how to register for the meeting. If you have any questions, you could always email me too, but that's the easy way to register for the meeting and voice your opinion. I will say that I was going to talk to you, and I'll talk to you about the Copler site, Lindell and Kings Highway. There's going to be a building right there next to the 100, and residents came out for that meeting to the Preservation Board, and the postponement for their variances, et cetera, happened because the community came out and talked to the board at the hearing. You know, for me and where I am in terms of being your alderwoman is that I have to advocate for the community as much as possible. And so I have to also work with, you know, Lux Living to the best of the neighborhood. And so the thing is really getting that entrance and egress done, because that was number one. And then it's always a little bit of negotiation. But what I would like is, again, individuals to go to the preservation meeting and voice your opinions. I know you'll be voicing your opinions also at the community engagement meeting, but if you feel like you need to voice them more, then please go to that. The next couple topics of updates. There are two.
Michael, do you have a question?
Oh,
Can you lend your voice to ours at the preservation meeting? Because I think.
yeah, I will be there.
Well, I mean,
And
taking a stance about this development, if we believe, and I think there's ample evidence that these developers would be very bad for the surrounding neighbors and really the neighborhood overall. They're known for not building good buildings. They're known for causing chaos at their construction sites and leaving a mess behind. I mean, if advocating for the community is a priority, we can all lend our voices, but the alderperson's voice is very powerful at things like the preservation board. Could you lend your voice and bring up these issues and the concerns about this developer and recommend that the preservation board turn down this project?
I definitely could lend my voice. I mean, I can advocate in terms of, you know, what they have done in the past and what we've seen. So the next thing I wanted to just bring up is, actually, Alan's going to be providing more details about the infrastructure committee and where we're at. And Alan and Kelly Harris are sharing that in terms of relaunching the infrastructure committee. The first scheduled meeting will be in June, and people could still apply. And Alan's going to give more details after I give all the updates. Alan's here in person. And the next topic is, like I said, the Copler building. The Copler building on Lindell and Kings Highway. There was a second community engagement meeting. About 150 people attended in terms of the two community engagement meetings. They are going to be receive a sales tax exemption on materials, meaning they're not going to have to pay for they won't have to pay taxes on the materials that they buy. That will be about $3 million in terms of the expense of their project, which is over $100 million, the whole project. Just to note, 90% of the materials are going to probably be bought outside of the city of St. Louis. So it will not be affecting in terms of the taxes that we will be getting in the city of St. Louis. And I did not approve. They wanted to have, and they requested a 10-year tax abatement, and I did not approve that tax abatement. So they're going to just be getting the sales tax exemption, as I mentioned. We're going to have a couple Kings Highway safety studies, speed studies. One is from Lindell to MLK, and Alderwoman Heather Navarro was the one who funded that study, and it just was completed in the last month, and there's going to be a presentation in June. I'll make an announcement about that. And I am looking to fund a study from Lindell to McCree. And so I'll give you more information about that as we look at the safety problems and the speeding problems on Kings Highway.
Just a quick question about that.
Mm-hmm.
Through that same corridor, Future 64 is also a project that is looking to improve safety transportation-wise. Is that in collaboration with them at all?
At this point, it hasn't been.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm talking to I-64, that project.
Yeah,
so,
Future 64. Okay,
yeah,
cool. Yeah, just wondering. Okay.
Yeah, but thank you.
Yeah.
So this has been going on for a few months. Neighbors have come to me in the Central West End and other parts regarding Kings Highway, and that's how this has precipitated in terms of getting a study. One of the issues is for this study from Lindell and MLK, and is going to be issued from Lindell to McCree, is that we will be able to get the study done. It costs tens of thousands of dollars. Now, how do you implement it? And that's a whole nother thing. And so one of the things I would like after this study gets completed is I'm going to have citizens, you all, to be advocating. I will be talking to the various institutions to see how they could help out in terms of implementing part of the study that aren't adjacent to Kings Highway. And that's where you will come in terms of advocating for that, because we don't have enough, I mean, it's millions of dollars that's going to happen. You will see in the next, hopefully month or two, there's going to be some restriping that the ward capital dollars are going to have on the intersection of Kings Highway and Forest Parkway, and also the intersection of Lindell and Kings Highway. There's going to be also a sign put up, hopefully in the median at Forest Parkway and Kings Highway. You know how it jogs out, and it's really dangerous. And so I've asked to have an arrow sign or some type of sign so people know that they have to jog out. No, it's a little bit longer.
It's okay. No, it's important information.
It's like
we have time.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine.
I'll stop making facial expressions.
A few more updates about public safety. I've been talking about these two initiatives, or one initiative, but one of them just got off the ground, and I would like to review the recording because I can't stay all this time. But the 17th Ward Public Safety Committee met last Thursday, and we had Central West End, Botanical Heights represented. Jim White of the Neighborhood Safety Initiative came, and it was really a great meeting. I would love to have somebody from Forest Park Southeast to be at the meetings and recruit more people. The goal for next meeting, which will be next month, is everybody at that meeting recruit another person. But I'd love to have somebody, especially to tie in with what you're going to be doing this meeting. We're not trying to supersede the neighborhood groups or anything. We want to help them and see how we could collaborate across the ward. And that was asked when I was canvassing. The harm reduction. So on April 30th was a Saturday. I had 5 hours of meetings, 2 hours with residents from the Parkview Apartments. I don't know if you remember, on February 9th, in the first week of February, there was an overdose of 9 people. 7 of them became fatal. And so that has prompted me and Representative Kimberly Ann Collins. I'm also working with Congresswoman Cori Bush's office on this harm reduction initiative. And so we're looking at this issue in terms of public health and community safety. SLU Criminology Department is working with us. I have to give a big shout out in terms of organizing these 2 meetings on this Saturday. And we got a wealth of information regarding a lot of gaps that we have in terms of public health and community safety. Director Yusef Scoggins of the Human Services was there from City, and also Dr. Mati from the Public Health Department was at the community meeting in the afternoon, which was residents and service providers. I have to say, the Parkview Apartments where the deaths occurred, there are so many different issues. I'm talking to HUD to remedy issues such as electrical wiring is not covered up, it's dirty, there's mice, there's bed bugs. This is all the information when we talk to the residents regarding the conditions there. And the people who are living there don't want the bad seeds that are there. I mean, they were voicing their own opinion. So a lot of people in the complex do not want these bad seeds there. So I'm working with, again, Congresswoman Bush and Kimberly Ann Collins and HUD and the residents nearby Parkview. Last few quicker updates are, I'm gonna be finalizing the annual report for the 17th Ward. Please sign up for that on my website, Tina Sweet Tea Peel. There is a button to get onto my listserv. The 17th Ward meeting for June will be June 8th from 6:30 to 7:30. And then office hours are going to be June 14th at Northwest Coffee at 5:30 p.m. Northwest Coffee is located on Boyle and Laclede. And I will be talking to the Neighborhood Association about organizing the third Lux Living community meeting date to be determined. That's the report.
I think there was a question here from Rachel about Lux Living. Are there any incentives is Lux seeking any incentives?
No, they're not.
Okay. I think for her first question about the variance setback related to having ingress egress, I think we'll probably have to look at their site plans to identify what that variance is directly related to. So have you seen the site plans, or they present to you with any renderings by chance?
I have not seen the site plans. So when I get them, I'll get them to you. I'm talking to the architect. I just started talking to them yesterday. So I didn't know they were having an architect work with the city right now. So Vic was working with the city. So it's a change of.
Okay.
So I'll get that all to you. Yeah.
Any other questions for our alderwoman before we hand it over to Alan to talk about the infrastructure committee?
Will this work across?
You might have to come over here.
Yeah.
Engagement, the 7 huge projects here in Adams Grove. I think they got one. There's the 7 huge projects with 300 units at the moment. And residents and long-term residents have really taken a bad hit. And I think we're a model for other neighborhoods to know what can happen to them. Because we didn't, eminent domain would have been better here. We would have been brought out. But now we're just choked off. And I'm still looking for a lot more on Central.
Yeah, we can talk about.
They've never responded to anything.
But they haven't. Okay. Well, we'll all talk. I know you're.
Yeah. Phil, do you have a question?
No.
Okay. Yeah, Alan, if you'd like to come over here, we can get you set up. I do have a slide prepared for you based off of what you sent over.
This side doesn't wear masks.
I will happily
Is that
wear a mask.
Yeah, it depends on whether people feel they can understand me with it on, but hello, I'm Alan Levin. I have been on the infrastructure committee for some years, and it was it just went into hibernation for about 2.5 years because of COVID, changes in administration, things like that. And so I and Kelly Harris and Tina got together. We've been talking for a little while about reinstituting the infrastructure committee, which really deals with those areas of Forest Park Southeast that are not individual property issues. They really have to do with sidewalks, streets, lighting, trash, and in fact, parks. Things that are in a way group use. And so we got together, what was it, yesterday? Yeah, got together yesterday after we had talked about reconstituting it and finding new members for the committee. Most of the members are no longer either in the neighborhood or no longer participating. And so it's really just Kelly and me that are from the old regime. And of course, Tina is new. So we sat down and we went over, this was about, I think about a month or so ago, and we devised an application form, which you may have seen, sent out via email, and that was for residents to become members of the infrastructure committee. We did get 8 returns, and then 1 more from that. There may be another one. So in all, including the 2 of us, that would make it potentially 11 people in the committee, but we still feel as though we are lacking from some areas of the community. And those areas specifically include the area east of Boyle, where we have no one representing that area. And it's, as you know, it's been considerably developed. And so there are issues there that might want to be discussed. There is, we would like to have potentially some more members who are not Caucasian. We have some right now. We have, it looks like 3, and it would be good to maybe have 1 or 2 more from whatever area that is. The third is potentially more women in the group. The fourth area is from an area of Forest Park Southeast that did not until this year belong in Forest Park Southeast, and that is essentially the Kings Oak area, which is west of Kings Highway and bordered by Manchester and Oakland. So we don't have any real contacts there per se, but we would, if anyone within my voice knows of someone who would be interested in being a member of this group, please give either us or forward to them the email that was sent out for an application. Okay, I think we are tentatively planning on having our first meeting, which would be orientation, kind of a history of the group, discussion of potential projects, and discussing also issues, kind of technical issues that will simply be dealt with then. Rule of order, things like that, that members will agree to just for the smooth operation of the committee. So the first meeting will be either on the 16th or the 28th of June. And those of you who are hearing this, you may be one of those applicants. That will be the first meeting. We're not sure which one will most be accessible by the group. Let me think of what else there is. There are projects that we have in front of us, obviously. We've talked about them. The park is one thing. Those will be delayed until after we have a working committee going. And let me think if there's anything else. I think right now, if we just stopped at this point, actually, first of all, I should have said, all those people who have applied for membership in the infrastructure committee have been accepted. And we are not going to go to any further investigation of those people, you know, whether you have a criminal record or whatever, we're not going to go there. But we will discuss at our first meeting where everyone is from and whether this is the appropriate committee to be on. Yes.
I just have a quick question. So this is a 17th board infrastructure committee. Is there a handoff process in place for when we become the 9th board, which will happen in April 2023? So less than a year away at this point.
I'm not sure.
Not all of the neighborhoods are going to be staying with us.
I didn't understand you. I'm sorry.
Is this, I guess the first question is this infrastructure committee just for Forest Park Southeast and Kings Oak?
Yes, it is. It's just for Forest Park Southeast. It does not include the area of the Central West End.
Okay, so it's
just us.
And will that be maintained even when we change and become the 9th?
I guess the question is,
Yeah.
is kind of, since this is under all the.
We're putting effort into this, that there is a continuation.
Yeah, the 9th Ward will not be very much different than what it is right now. I don't foresee, I mean, I'm speaking without authority here. I mean, Tina would probably be more the one who would speak to that, but I don't foresee any change in that at all. Okay, thank you. So that is essentially where we're at. And we look forward to starting up the committee again. And as I said, there are projects on the table that we're interested in moving ahead with, as well as the kind of ongoing projects that we have about paving streets, sidewalk painting, things like that. If there are any questions, I'm more than willing to answer any of that.
There was a question here from Aaron asking if any of the money tied to the infrastructure committee is use it or lose it, or is it more of ward capital money that is designated specifically to the infrastructure?
Thanks, Aaron. Tina is looking into some of that right now. There has been an offer by the city to provide us with $70,000 to build a music pavilion in the center at the bottom of the hill in Shoto Park. It's something we've wanted to do since the beginning, but there was no money for that. It would have electricity. It could be for concerts, but it could also, if it were done properly, I think, it could also be reserved for like a picnic, things like that. So it's a multi-purpose facility. We have no plans for it as such right now. The city has offered to draw up some plans, and we may get those in a little bit. I think $70,000 myself is a little bit thin on what we would need for it. And we're looking to see if some of the institutions and businesses, for instance, Aventura, which is across the street, the Ronald McDonald House, which is building on the other side, if they would contribute to something that would definitely benefit them themselves. That's all in the future. I think we will find out some of that, and I think we will deal with that after we have organized a committee. Anything else?
If we have an issue that we would like the committee to take a look at, where can we send that issue?
If you had a...
Like, for instance, the intersection of Tower Grove and Shoto is like really falling apart.
Yeah.
Like, if we wanted you guys to take a look at that, who would we contact? Or is there an email we can send something to? Or
Right now we don't. Okay, we will. And I would say you can contact one of the members. You could contact me. But I think we're not set up at this point to deal with it. But those are specifically the kind of issues that we have in the past dealt with. Okay. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you. Yeah.
If you would like to apply to be a member, they're still taking candidates. There's a link here on the screen. It is a bit.ly link. If you go to bit.ly/FPSEIC, you can apply to be on the infrastructure committee. Again, they're looking for candidates who are non-white, non-male, in Kings Oak, East of Boyle, and African American. So if you know anybody who fits those criteria, they'd be happy to accept them. Thanks for sharing that link, Aaron.
Thank you.
Cool. Next, we're going to jump into the treasurer's report. Oh, sorry about that. The treasurer's report, and I will turn it over to Rachel for that.
Thanks, Dan. So we started April of 2022. For those of you who may not be able to see the numbers on the screen there very well, we started with $1,651.47 in the bank. And we had a good month with donations. We had $140 in donations from the neighborhood. So thank you to those who donated, and we're very generous in your support. It's much appreciated. We had just our usual expense of $14.99, which is our monthly fee for Zoom. So expenses were less than income, so that's always a good thing. And we ended the month with a little more cash than we started, which is ending at $1,776.48. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. And thanks, Dan, for those of you following the screen there. You can certainly donate through the Cash App. It's $FPSENA, or you could send an email to the email address on the screen there. I'm happy to pick up a check if you'd prefer to do it that way, or arrange something otherwise. Just let me know, and we'd be happy to work something out. And thank you again to those who donated.
Awesome. Thank you. We're going to dive into community updates really quickly. Last month, Park Central reminded us that they have free seasonal exterior maintenance for seniors. So if you're over 60, you may qualify for their free program to improve safety and beauty in and around your home. You have to be in, they offer this within Forest Park Southeast. They offer bi-weekly lawn care, tree pruning or removal, and not applicable to the summer months is snow removal. So if you would like more information or know somebody who should apply, you can call Mrs. Brown at 314-643-8261 or shoot her an email.
You know, I just gotta say, at least 2 neighbors of mine have called several times.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you send me her contact information, I will gladly forward that along to them and yeah. Before we jump into events, I will say that we have gotten your email about doing a walk around. Happy to do that maybe this weekend. Yeah.
I mean, you guys, that's great, but
well, we would love for somebody from Green Street to attend as well. And we would like to use one of our upcoming meetings to have them talk about what we saw and how they plan to change things. Yeah, so if we can find time this weekend. Okay. Yeah, and I'll follow up an email to Richard at Green Street and see if he can attend as well. Yeah. Now I'm going to turn it over to JC, talk a little bit about our upcoming events. You want to be on the screen? Oh, yeah, sure. Oops.
Hey everyone. So planned events. So this weekend or this Saturday in particular, we have our neighborhood cleanup. So we'll be focused on the Kings Oak area. Myself and Dan will actually be bringing a couple weed eaters to take care of some alleyway stuff, but I will be picking up bags and different tools, litter grabbers for this weekend's event. And we will be meeting at Manchester and Newstead. And then after that event on Saturday, we also have our first neighborhood flower planting event. Very scarce on where we can plant things in public spaces. So we get these lucky road blockers or pipes, however you want to look at them. They actually look freshly painted, which I thought was really cool. If anybody does know of anybody planting anything in them recently, because I have asked a few folks and there hasn't been anything that I'm aware of. So please let me know otherwise, because I'd hate to remove something that someone else has done already. But I did walk by there just yesterday and it was kind of seems full of weeds. There is some mulch on there that we'll be able to reuse. But we have a set series of flowers, which is like the celotias, dianthus, and marigolds. So we have about a little less than 1,200. They're much smaller than what I had anticipated them to be. That's okay because we'll be able to fill these 3 planters with what we do have. So with that said, is there another?
The next slide is just if you want to join,
Oh,
and I can
perfect.
read you that if you'd like.
Okay, so I think that's it for the
Yeah.
events right now. And we're still coordinating the soft opening events. But like always, we did have a few people reach out and I've kind of responded. And if you would like to join the committee, help design flyers, help event coordination overall, even draft sponsorship opportunities, we'd love to hear from you. So please feel free to reach out to our forestpikesoutheast@gmail.com email because we'd love to hear from you. Yes.
The neighborhood cleanup is this Saturday, the first one this Saturday, 10 a.m.
Yes.
We meet at Manchester and Newstead, and then go over.
And we'll travel over, yes, sir.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yep. Yeah, just to repeat, first cleanup is this Saturday, meet at 10 a.m. at Newstead and Manchester. We'll have all the tools and then we'll walk over to Kings Oak, make some friends, clean up their section of the neighborhood and pat each other on the back for a job well done. And then the next day is the flower planting event, pretty much the same location, and we'll be planting flowers. Like Casey said, if you'd like to join the event committee, our email box is always open. Holler at us. A few other quick events or reminders. So I brought this up briefly with Alderman Peel here next to me, is the Future 64 event, or the public engagement meeting for the project called the Future 64. Future 64 is a project study conducted by MoDOT and other partners to re-examine the aging infrastructure between Kings Highway and Jefferson and the expounding areas above and below the highway. It is a multimodal study using public input and stakeholders from within that corridor to re-examine how to improve safety, accessibility, and multimodal transportation between north and south and across the corridor. I attended a meeting last week with community stakeholders, and I am very encouraged by what they are hoping to accomplish and how they go about collecting feedback from various stakeholders, including this public engagement meeting happening tomorrow, May 18th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the City Foundry. Last month, they also presented at our meeting in which they shared a survey link for public input as well. So if you have not taken that survey, the survey link is here on the screen. You can take that, attend tomorrow's meeting, talk about how you want to walk or ride or move around the neighborhood and how safety and accessibility is important to you. The other part, one other update I wanted to give was the Tower Grove Cortex Connector. They are looking for residents, 2 to 3 residents within our neighborhood to provide feedback on how to incorporate art within the bike path that they are building within our neighborhood. So if you know anybody within the neighborhood who is interested to provide an artistic expression of how art should be within the corridor of this path. Ideally, we get a good, diverse representation from our neighborhood. I would happily do it, but I don't want to speak on behalf of the neighborhood and would much rather have people from different age groups and ethnicities attend this. So if you know anybody, shoot me an email and I can put you in contact with those who are conducting it. And I did have a slide here on Lux Living, but that's a little outdated now. So I guess June, we can plan to have an engagement meeting in which they will come and present. More to come on that later, I suppose. Yeah, it's now 7 stories, up from 5 or 6 than it was. So yeah, the topic of tonight's meeting, as we have about 30 minutes to go, I think we're actually on schedule here, is a crime and safety discussion. So when we started this meeting, the topic came about because of a little bit of a recent uptick in crime, specifically homicides that have happened in the neighborhood, 2 within almost a week of each other, I believe. One probably more gang related, another I think was more relationship, more I don't know, I can't remember. But anyways, wanted to kick off a discussion to understand from people here tonight on Zoom, and I think we'll try to get a better representation of the neighborhood over the coming months of how we can, I don't want to say like resurrect the public safety committee, but build a public safety committee so that there is, I guess I'll just go and jump to the next slide. That'll help. To create a more welcoming neighborhood for all. And when I think we talk about a welcoming neighborhood, that's being able to communicate between our neighbors and officials on what is happening and how we can solve those problems of safety. Increasing trust in community by hosting block by block events. I think when we have block parties or we know our neighbors, we're able to communicate better and build trust between one another. And then reducing crime by encouraging residents to offer safety solutions specifically to their block. So when Alderwoman Peel talks about her safety committee, she's talking about it at a grander scale, but we know crime differs block by block, and you are the ones who live on your blocks, and it's helpful to hear what crime is happening, what safety issues you're seeing, and nobody knows how to stop those incidents from happening more than you do. So I think the discussion for tonight is starting a conversation of how we can think as a group to create solutions in which we can feed back to different officials within the neighborhood. That could be our alder person, that can be our liaison officer, Officer Walker, other institutions who are willing to help provide funds or help fulfill those tactical executions to build out the safety solutions. So I guess to start, it would be helpful to hear from people on Zoom or here today on what does safety mean to you? That's a pretty broad question, but it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So I know it's always hard to go first in something, but does anyone want to? What words come to mind when you think of safety? Is it no homicides? Is it, locking my door at night? What is safety to you? For me, I guess safety is being able to walk my dog at night and not feel like I'm being like somebody can attack me. Safety is knowing my neighbors, And safety is, oh, I don't know.
Walking across the street where you don't get hit by a car.
Yeah, walking across the street. Don't get hit by a car. I think that's great. Oh. Kim or Sarah? Sarah?
Yeah, it's good when people have what they need, you know, so, especially young people, you know, 16, 24-year-old group. It was kind of sad that STL youth jobs took 63110 out, so the youth in this 63110 aren't eligible for STL youth jobs. But safety, yeah, it's just feeling comfortable and when people walk down the street, you know.
No. Knowing your neighbors, you know, a lot of my neighbors have moved. I guess we've been here 11 years, and we've seen a lot of people move out and haven't necessarily gotten to meet some of the people who have moved in place, and so it starts to feel a little more patchy on the block that the network isn't nearly as strong, because it used to be something would happen and we'd all come outside and we'd all chat with one another. That doesn't really.
So having neighbors in which can check on each other, being able to walk and feel comfortable. Again, feeling the ability to walk and feel comfortable not being hit by a car. Any other words or things come to mind when you think of safety? We can jump on to the next question. Yeah.
So on our block, I think one thing is that, and we've been there for a long time, but we do know probably a third to a half of the people on our block. And at one point, we actually had a list. Everyone put their telephone number on. And I just think that's, you know, of course that was on paper before, but it could be more an electronic list. And I think that's, once you encourage people to use it, if they see something that's wrong, and they could check with the person, you know, there. Anyway, that's one. I like that idea. It worked for a while. I mean, it's kind of gone into a little bit of disrepair now, but I think I still know at least a third of the people on our block. And, you know, I say hi to them, and I'm just building up communications with people who live in the neighborhood. It's the best way to resolve some of these issues.
Yeah, I think that's great. A contact list. I think a few people I know have a group text that they have, and they can chat via text to everyone in the neighborhood. I'd be interested to hear more why you think that contact list stopped working. Like, I imagine people move in and out, and then you just never get to say hi to your neighbor. They never provide you with their name, or they become Airbnbs, or like, I'd be interested to hear more of why you think that stopped working or no one used it anymore.
I think one way is to encourage. We had a street meeting, I think last year, and I think I put a little invitation on everyone's door, and we kind of met outside around 6 or 6:30, and we just talked about different issues that people had. So, I mean, in a sense, I think that's the scale that I think works best, because you see those people all the time, and they will be familiar. So we did that, and it honestly, we just didn't push it hard enough. I think all of this really requires people really push, but it has some rewards, and that people called me about a neighbor who had clearly had a dog inside the house that was just in horrible shape, and they could hear the dog every day, and it was you could go by the house and you could smell it.
Yeah.
The dog had never gone outside, and that was resolved. It's those kind of things. I think once you get it to the whole neighborhood, it's a little too big.
Yeah, you know, it's block by block. I think we've tossed around the idea and the intention of having a block captain program. Again, I don't think it's anything new to this neighborhood, but it's something that would have to come back to life in a way. It takes people like yourself to be willing to be that almost that point person, to put out the invitations, to manifest that kind of coordination. Another question here is where do you feel safest or least safe? That could be pockets of the neighborhood, that could be times at night, that could be environmental factors, like if the streetlights aren't working, that's when you feel least safe. Does anyone have any thoughts on when you feel safe or least safe?
Dark alleys, like if the light is out at the end of the alley, or if people don't have floodlights on the back of their garages, and there's dark corners that, you know, are you can't even see what's in them. That can lead to a safe feeling. You know, to Alan's point about phone numbers too, I think if you're trying to get people to participate, maybe there's a way to kind of pitch it as it's advantageous to you too. Like if your neighbor has your phone number and they see something weird going on in your house, or you left your garage door open, which I have done before, then your neighbor can just text you and say, did you mean to do this? And fix it for you. That's what it means when neighbors look out for each other.
Yeah, you're describing my neighbor very well. He's always asking those questions, and I'm very appreciative of it. Just a word here from Officer Walker. There is a SLMPD community event Saturday, May 21st from 11 to 4 at Gravois and Bamberger Plaza. Detectives from homicide, nuisance property officer, juvenile department, traffic officer, 2nd district detectives, and others will be there. Jumping to the next question. Probably, I guess I would say, think of some specific personal instances in which you've felt unsafe. I think you mentioned walking in dark alleys. That's when you've probably an improvement area. You know, if there's specific dark corners of alleys or neighborhoods.
Kids at the Rise properties with guns, actual guns.
That's a safety issue.
That's makes me feel unsafe.
Yes. That's interesting. I don't know.
I think a couple moved, but there were some associations between the Rise property on 44 Norfolk and 44 Swan, and they go back and forth with little man versus.
You think they moved though? Did you say you think they moved?
I think one on Swan might have, but they blocked the street and everything. It was almost back like it wasn't 90.
Why do you think they were carrying guns there?
Because they were like 16-year-olds and they were like, you know,
Manly with their purses.
A lot of weapons around here. And the young people, that seems like it's the young people that are, you know, like teenagers.
Something that could slow people down coming in and out of alleys, whether it's speed bumps at the end of the alley or something. Oftentimes, you know, if you're walking on the sidewalk, a car can come out kind of quickly in a blind spot, and
I've had close calls both as a pedestrian and as a driver in those situations.
Yeah, I never knew it was actually courtesy to honk when you're leaving an alleyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's courtesy.
Oh.
But I was gonna offer reflector mirrors at the end on the
Yeah.
utility poles. Might help.
Okay.
Or ballots that keep people from parking too close to the alley that blocks the view. That as well.
Oh, those are the worst.
Yeah, in the Central West End, they pay to have like little barriers so that people can't park too close to the alleyways. And I would love to have them.
So like,
I don't know how they organize those, but that would make it so much easier because then you could like see stuff as you're coming out. Those cars that like just get so close.
We have to email
Sometimes
that.
they're in the alley.
yeah, this is when we work with the infrastructure committee on improving bump outs and stuff. Yeah, one last question here is, where have you seen crime happen? So you had mentioned on the streets there.
It's easier to ask where it doesn't happen. It's easier to ask where it doesn't happen. But I mean, it's anywhere. It's from our alleyways to our main streets to running down side streets. It's everywhere. I mean, the only place I haven't seen it is in my house yet. And I mean, with it being as close as it has been lately, I've seen it come through the house. I felt it come through the house.
Oh.
But that's been the extent. And to say we can control any aspect of that is difficult because some of these people are driving through and shooting out their windows of cars, and to even call the police in that moment to get them there to take action.
Yeah.
As a citizen of being here every day, it just puts you at an unease. And you know, I love our home and everything about it, and I preferably don't ever want to move. It's not, so I'm going to die there if I have to. But you know, that's what it comes down to. You know, we recently, because of the bullets that have come through our home, we've upped our insurance policies, and just for that, if we were able to, if we have a loss of life, you know, there's a big disconnect when these things are taking place, and there's no idea on regard for property damage, another person's life, the fact that you shot through somebody's front door into their living room and the glass flew all the way to the back of the house, the bullets on the wall in the living room. You know, what do?
Yeah.
You couldn't even shoot back. You can't even stand your ground like the police officer told me later that night.
Yeah, don't shoot back.
So just make sure nobody's watching so you can drag him off.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't.
There's so many different places to take it that where do you even begin? And I think it really begins with communication. Like Alan said, it begins with talking to your neighbors and having that visual. You know, I've had a couple neighbors approach me who are non-Caucasian people, and they want to know how to talk to us. Our neighbors, some of our neighbors blatantly ignore other neighbors because they just don't want to talk to that person or that type of person. So I've had people actually come over to us. How do you talk to people so easily? Because I don't care who you are. It matters no means if you're famous, not famous. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to say, hi, I see you walking through our neighborhood. What are you doing? You know, and there's obvious things that are taking place when you walk through the alleys and there's large congregations of people. You know, there's a difference between a backyard barbecue when you're talking to a dispatcher and an actual incident that you're trying to report. In some ways, it's coming off as racist, and it makes you not want to call them back because they weren't offering you help in the first place. And, you know, one of the ways that I can easily recognize these groups not just having a backyard barbecue is because they go silent as soon as you walk by. Neighbors, when I walk down the alleyway with my dog, who are having backyard barbecues, who I know on our street, wave. They say, hi, how you doing? What's going on? Do you want a hot dog? You know, they actually offer to be somewhere or be like a neighborly to you, and these other groups don't do that. They go silent and act like they'll just wave, and then you just keep walking, and it's just,
Are you saying
just
the
keep to
police
yourself?
ignore the police ignore the call because they're brushing it off as, you know, someone being racist or someone being
Yes,
a nosy
I,
neighbor
I
instead of an
was,
actual
I was
concern.
told that they were probably just having a backyard barbecue. And this was the most recent shooting incident we had in the Grove, where the lady ran to the Quick Trip, died in the parking lot, then got ran over by the person who was involved with the whole thing. So yes, it was very much so
So the neighborhood
made out
needs
to be that we were
improve
racist.
communication with the police. If we're going to get a police response to things, there needs to be a trusted person in the neighborhood who might have a relationship with the police.
And just to close that out really quick, Michael, and then within 5 minutes, they called back to actually cancel the order because they asked me if they were still hanging out in the alleyway. So I had to go take my life into consideration, actually walk back into this alleyway and tell them that they were all still congregating there without them seeing me. And then an hour later, sure enough, the entire shooting happened as they ran out of the alleyway. Also, all the cars spread different directions. They went down Manchester and Boyle, down Manchester, shot every direction, large groups of people. This was 30 or more people, not just small amounts of people. And at this point, I don't care if I'm a target because I care about my life. I care about the people in this neighborhood. And we don't move here or we're not trying to displace people. I'm trying to live no differently than everybody else. And for some of us who are moving into this area and being judged in such a fashion, you know, I work hard for what I do and for what I put into what everyone sees outside of our home. And, you know, that's because that's what I want. It's not necessarily that I can afford those things, but when I can afford something, I put the time into my home and make the effort to feel like I'm a part of this community. It not only helps me, but it helps me interact with people who are just walking by on a daily basis, which is, I really think communication is key. And when we see that open up, which it's been obviously very difficult in the realm of COVID, and obviously things are increasing once again, but I even think, you know, having the contact list for block captains and people increasing their engagement with block captains, just sending a simple text, have a group text with your street. You know, the 4300 block of Gibson, we have a group text with about 8 different residents right now, growing in popularity lately with the things that have taken place. And we just kind of warn everybody what's going on. We automatically send a text out when we know something's going on in the alleyway, so we avoid it now. You know, and that's sad that we have to avoid our backyard. Or our front yard because certain incidents are happening. And then the fact that they're casing the police station on our corner, catty corner to us when these events happen makes it that much worse. So to put any one answer to it, I think communication is definitely the where to start. And I appreciate this conversation being brought up, and because there's so many directions that it could take. I mean, it's about life safety and the importance of making sure we see tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's been made pretty clear that communications is important. If we can look into, and I said look into seriously, it's not just like we're gonna look into it and not do anything about it. Find ways in which we'll reach out to some people, find ways in which they built contact trees or lists in the past. I think we've discussed block parties in which would be a way to meet your neighbors and, you know, share contacts there over, you know, not a backyard barbecue, but a street barbecue, ones that everyone is invited to. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing that. I know it's hard because you lived through it. Yeah. Okay. We do.
All those trees in front of our house, every 10 feet down Norfolk. You don't want trees? Oh my God, they tear up your car, tear up your sidewalk, and tear up your sewer. And nobody said a word to us about it. Just planted them, right? 5 people in the face. That was a crime.
trees growing in that little area, between the sidewalk and the street, are generally safer.
The trees protect you.
The trees by themselves don't protect anybody, but they help set an atmosphere that creates a different way that people live.
I bet if it was north of Manchester, though, they would have asked you first.
Certainly should have asked.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They did. So
We spent 3 years trying to get our tree replaced.
I'll dig this one up.
We just got it in like.
Yeah, I'll take it.
A full-grown mature tree provides a haven for pedestrians on 100-degree, 90-degree days in the summer. So that's one way it can actually make a street safer, is that it increases pedestrian activity up and down the street. People feel more comfortable being outside. It also dampens noises, makes it not so loud up on the street. So even if people are gathering, it doesn't get super loud.
Your HVAC not running as often.
Yeah.
Yeah. It shades your yard and helps other plants thrive too.
Right in my sewer.
So there are benefits, yeah.
You know, one of the suggestions that we had heard with Shoto Park was we just wanted more trees.
Yeah.
And the trees are, like Phil said, a way they really calm the atmosphere. And there was some talk about having a Shoto Park. It's like Forest Park forever. We have a Shoto Park forever.
That's cool.
And people could contribute money to put more trees in Shoto Park.
That's cool.
But I mean, you know, trees are where it's at. It just mellow out of space. So
Yeah.
I do want to move back to, you kind of made a side comment about the north side versus the south side of the neighborhood, and I know that's an ongoing thing.
It's over now. We're dead. We're dead.
Well, just like small things that we can do, like as a neighborhood association, like with the neighborhood night out, we do it in Show Park every year, which puts the owners on the south side that come to the north side. And I wonder if there's a way to alternate it every year, so that some years we do it in Show Park, some years we do it like the baseball diamond or something like that.
That's fine if you want to do that, but that's not what we're looking for.
Well, I think it's just easier to provide easily accessible ways where neighbors can come out and meet each other.
We need a park, a little bitty green space.
Oh,
It's 4,400 club. I mean, there's an LRA property that's been there. They've just they're pouring thousands of people on it. Thousands, really. I don't think that's exaggerated.
It's about 1,000 units. So it's about 1,000 units.
Yeah,
so if you put more than one person in each unit, then yeah.
I mean, give me it, and they have to just take every single thing, and they opened our streets without a word to it. Never said a word, and just bulldozed it open. And then they do sidewalk.
That's something I think we need to bring up with Green Street.
I do remember. God, you can't even travel down my alley.
I do remember them
some
promising
that
to
the infrastructure committee would be the one.
Green Street is supposed to fix all that. That was part of them getting that tip. They were supposed to fix everything because they delayed all infrastructure improvements for 20 years on the south side. And part of the Green Street getting extra money was that they're supposed to fix all that.
Yeah, I think one person you could contact for some of these specific issues until the infrastructure committee is up and running is Ron Coleman.
Oh, shit. Oh, God.
You haven't had a bad experience?
No, it's okay. We're just, we're trying to go without code violations. That's all. And that's about all he's ever done for us is give us code violations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be just making sure we're facilitating conversation. I know the neighborhood association wants to do walk around and so that we set up a meeting at the next neighborhood, in the future neighborhood association meeting so that we we can get Green Street to come out and sit down and kind of address what the future timeline is and get actual
people moving in, Jim.
Yeah, I'd also like to talk to Green Street about how to incorporate the people who are moving into their buildings into the neighborhood better, so they're not on their own little rental islands. And there's ways to communicate with the people in those buildings to create a better community so that, you know, they're not.
We've had Rise to do that.
Yeah.
And, yeah. That
So
would be
it
a
really
good
helps,
idea.
just speaking of communication, to have, you know, everyone talking to each other.
Yeah.
We are at 8:04. Unless there's,
Well, I feel terrible what you went through, JC. But to me, the thing that makes me feel unsafe is the weapons. You know, when you hear the weapons. But I haven't had any negative experiences where we run inside of oil. And other people don't have it yet. It's just a small group. You know, and Boyle is kind of separates us at that end. You know, it just, but I also don't do a lot of walking around at night. So sometimes the Airbnbs don't make me feel safe. You've had a terrible experience, I guess, obviously with that. Because you just don't know who the people are.
Like that.
And the owners, if the owners aren't there, I live next to a fourplex that the owner doesn't live in the building. So, you know, Jerry, to me, that doesn't, I just don't see why that should be happening. Honestly.
There is a board bill that the Board of Aldermen might be considering next session that would aim to regulate Airbnbs. One of the things it would do is make it so that you either had to reside in the building that you're renting out or next to it, like directly adjacent. And that would get rid of the out-of-towners, which would greatly improve our ability to communicate and take care of issues with problem properties. That's being sponsored by Christina Gracia. So when it comes up, advocate for it to.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it would be real, it's just more drunken assholes.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and so like, and we can reach out to you with the building interviews, we're hoping to introduce this session, but they'll need people testifying.
Absolutely.
There's going to be people pushing back.
Sure.
Unless there's anything anyone else would like to share, we're running up on time. He said no. All right, next up is tomorrow, there's the Future 64 meeting. Again, if you'd like to share your input on how MoDOT and its partners can reimagine the corridor north and south of 64 and between Kings Highway and Jefferson. Your input is wanted, needed, it's urgent.
Includes pedestrian infrastructure too. So if you'd like better ways to get across the highway, or if you're worried about accessibility, it is not just the highway, it's also the areas surrounding the highway.
Yep. Next meeting is June 21. Second cleanup event is June 18th. Our cleanup and flowering events are this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Kim, we can chat after this meeting to talk about when we can do the walk around. Anything else? Close it out in the meeting. All right. Thank you everyone for attending via Zoom. I hope the audio is okay. Hopefully we can make it better next month. See you all then.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Aaron. See you guys.